I wanted to do a quick video on troubleshooting your analog clock on your, I guess pre-85 Vanagon. I would have to double check. But here's a quick video on how to troubleshoot it if it doesn't work. To troubleshoot your clock, you would need one of these multimeters, and you would want to set it to 12 volts. And just set it somewhere where you can see it. Then you take your black wire, which is ground, and ground it to a good spot somewhere. Hopefully this is a good spot. We'll find out soon. Then you take the connector that goes into the gauge cluster, and the wire that sends power, the constant power to your clock, is connector number 7. They also labeled right here. Number 7. And you just stick your probe in number 7, and it, as you can see on the multimeter, you're getting 12.54 volts. So I removed the probe, I inserted the probe again, and so you know that through the connector you're getting good voltage. Now, the next thing you want to check is your ground wire, and for that you go to continuity mode, which is this little icon right here, and you check continuity by just touching your leads. It means you get contact. So right now it's grounded. We know it's grounded to the chassis, and then you check your ground wire. So the ground wire is 2 and 5. So number 2, when it makes noise, that means there's a connection going from this wire to the chassis. It's grounded. And 5. So at this point we know we are getting power and we're getting good ground from the connector. So you move on to the gauge itself to troubleshoot it farther. One of the things you can do to see if the power is actually going to the right places is check the continuity, and you will need one of those multimeters, and the basic ones are pretty cheap on Amazon. You can get one under $20. And here, this connection right here, just FYI, and it says right here, it's your 12 volt positive connection, and this is your ground connection. Follow the foil right here. As you can see, they're like little streets, and they go to a location. So you can follow where the foil goes to which connection. So it looks like the power goes to slot number 7. So you put your multimeter, the icon for the continuity, it looks like this. Looks like a little Wi-Fi logo. And when you touch the leads, it's supposed to beep. That means there's a connection between the 2 points, if that makes sense. So we'll take one end and we put it to number 7, we said, right? And then you touch it here. Okay, number here. It might be a little tricky, but so number 7. So that means the power from this connection to this connection is going through. So we checked the positive battery and it's going through. Let's check the ground. This is your ground. The ground goes here, and it splits in multiple places for other things, but it goes to the connection number 1, 2. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2 and 5 is ground. Okay, it's interesting. All right, so we are at number 5. And I'm not getting anything. Make sure. I'm at number 5. Yeah, here we go. So 5 and 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're getting a good connection. Well, it's a connection. I don't know how good it is from terminal 2 and 5 to the ground. So that means the foil is good. So if you're getting power from your connector from the van and into the cluster and goes to the foil, that means something is wrong inside here. And I won't be taking off this unit in this video, but I found the capacitors, and you can also see in many online forums and threads that capacitors on this unit go bad and you have to solder them out. And I can briefly show you how to take off this unit right here. You have to take out these 4 screws that hold it, and you have to take out all these nuts. So this nut, this nut, this nut, this screw, this nut, this nut. This just slides out. And one of the hardest parts is that you have to desolder this connection. And you just get a solder and you press onto it until the solder starts to melt a little bit. At the same time, you have to kind of pry it up with the screwdriver and pull it. Or I believe I've done it a long time ago. Once you have this unit out, you can also apply the heat, the solder gun here, and kind of pull the clock face away, and this will pop off. And then you will see the back of the clock, which is there's a printed circuit board, there's 2 capacitors, and desoldering it can be a little bit tricky, but with patience it's really hard to mess it up. Even if you are new to soldering and you kind of fuse 2 tracks, 2 solder tracks together, you can still separate them pretty easily with just kind of removing the solder and playing around with the solder gun. But yeah, you have 2 capacitors, and you can grab one with the pliers, and with the other hand you'll be holding your solder gun, and you just pull one end, because the capacitors have positive and negative side, and you have to make sure you solder them correctly. But to unsolder them, you just have the back of the PCB, and I'll put some pictures as well. And you take out one, then the other one. It's probably easier to show you than talk about it. But this is my basic Harbor Freight solder gun that I use pretty much for everything. And once you soldered the new capacitors, you insert it into the 2 holes, kind of bend the 2 terminals in a little bit so it just stays there. And then you apply flux, you apply soldering flux, just a little tab melted, and then you just add a little bit of more solder. You kind of solder it in there, and with patience, it's really not that hard. And a good indicator of that your capacitors are broken is when your second arm, the seconds arm, the red little arm or pointer, it jerks, but it never goes anywhere. It kind of goes boop boop back and forth. That's a good indicator that your capacitors are bad. So if you check that you're getting power from the foil to here, and you're getting ground to here, and the connector and everything is good, but your clock still doesn't work, and if you have previously in the past have taken this foil out and put it back in, make sure the foil, meaning this blue ribbon, goes underneath this connector right here, because if it goes over this, it won't make contact and your clock won't work. So this ribbon needs to, when you unscrew it slides under. You see the copper, it has to go under, because if it goes over, it won't make ground contact. And you can also check continuity from this point to this point, or by touching the the ribbon in here or anywhere here, just to see there's no issues here. And that should electronically resolve any issues you have with the clock. If it still doesn't work, then you have probably something mechanically wrong with it, potentially, or it could be something very small that you overlook. So don't panic. Just make sure you check step by step thoroughly that you get all the connections are working, and you can do it by checking the continuity with the multimeter. So hopefully this helps, and appreciate you watching my video. Thank you.